Hello everybody, it is Rex the dog, and I am here for my bread and butter of video content on this channel, which is the Rex the dog laundry vlog. Hello, I'm just a guy who's out there living his life with a lot of different hobbies, a lot of different interests, and a general passion for growth. You know, as somebody who enjoys the world, enjoys trying to engage with the world in different ways, engage with different people, different cultures, treat my body well so I can, sort of just feel good inhabiting this vessel and engaging with all this stuff in the world. And I like to report what I've been doing back to you guys and kind of speak out my feelings out loud and come to random conclusions as I put my laundry on the clothes horse over here. But it's very nice to be back. Very nice to be speaking to everybody. Some of these coming out in a little bit of a goofy order, these videos, because what I'm doing at the moment is the primary thing that takes place on this YouTube channel, also twitch.tv/RexRebelHeart in simulcast as I do streaming. And what I've kind of decided to do at the moment is, usually when I record on these laundry vlogs, I upload it straight away. So you get it like minutes after the laundry has been laundered. But what I've been doing recently for the past maybe 2 or 3 laundry vlogs is I've just been having those unlisted, and then when I don't stream on a day, because some days I do not stream, like at the moment, at the time of broadcast for this, I am up in Susadia. I am out staying in a cabin in a more mountainous region outside of Madrid, which is my home, of course. I'm stockpiling them as unlisted, and then I put them live on a day when I don't have a stream planned or there's been an emergency stopping me for whatever reason. So you're getting the Rex thoughts a few days after the fact. But I think my reflections are somewhat evergreen, and although they capture how my mind is in a certain moment, I do think the process and the rambling, if you are into that stuff, has a little bit of value. Whether you're watching it 10 minutes after I put the laundry out, or 2 or 3 days. But that is what is up to, and I'm sure I will be reporting back to this on in a future laundry vlog, or in one of the live streams or whatever, if you guys want to stop by. Is taking a little break and going outside the city, which I'm happy about, which I'm excited about, because sure, I go on a few trips every now and then. I was in Barcelona recently for, amongst other things, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth concert, and I had a very wonderful time there. And I go other places here and there for runs or skateboarding competitions, or just for whatever reason. All those are quite often happening in cities, though, and I love cities. I live in a city. I live in a capital city. I live in a major European capital city, and that's great. And it has a lot of wonderful things that culture and experiences and breadth of people and all these crazy things has to offer you. But I going to other places, it is kind of of course, Barcelona has a different identity to Madrid, which has a different identity to Bilbao and whatever. But on a certain regard, a certain level, a city is a city is a city. You kind of go to a European city, you go to another European city, and of course there's differences. Of course there's differences. Of course they've got their own, like wonderful identities and people and culture and foods and whatever. But to some extent, a city is a city. Is a city. So this trip up to Susadia I'm very excited about, because it's going to be, a bit more rural. We're going to be in towns, we're going to be in pueblos, we're going to be doing hikes up to waterfalls and all that sort of thing. And now I do fairly regularly go out the city to go do some bouldering, some rock climbing, some stuff like that. But spending an extended, I'm going to be there for 4 days. So being up there for 4 days, I think it's going to be a real nice palate cleanser. I think it's going to be a real different change of pace for me. Because dude, it's been a hot minute since I've spent, I know this is only 4 days, but kind of an extended period of time in a more rural setting. So I am really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a real palate cleanser, and I'm sure I'm going to come back with some sort of ideas and clarity, and I think it's going to give me some space to sort of reassess and work out what's important for me at the moment. Because I've talked about it a lot in the past laundry vlogs, is, you know, something that's really... I feel I'm in an era at the moment, this last season, and honestly, literally season, like last 4 months or so, I've really just been in a state of maintenance. I had all these goals, which I sort of achieved, these like short-term to mid-term goals, which I achieved, and they were more... you know, habit changing. So at the moment, I guess those goals are still continuing to an extent. Like, you know, I do have, like, you know, my ongoing fitness goals. I do have my ongoing, you know, goals to do with my business. I do have my ongoing goals in terms with, you know, what we do here as a community on this channel or whatever. But, like, you know, there's kind of, like, sexy landmark things of, like, you know, like, run the marathon and, you know, like, hit 1,000 subscribers and, you know, like, Twitch affiliate. Like, I kind of hit all those. And, you know, the kind of just in, like, the maintenance state of those. I will say in terms of, like, a Rex Rebelheart sort of goal, I've been having fun goofing around making, like, TikTok / Reels / YouTube Shorts. I just decided it would be fun. It's just another thing of, like, number go up. It would be fun to hit the TikTok creator program, because I think you get that from, like, 10,000 subscribers or something like that, 10,000 followers. And I'm like, I think I could do that. You know, it's like, all right, I can probably do that over the course of 6 months or whatever. So I got that as a fun little sort of like number go up goal. I do have some sort of like physical goals, which I'm going for, like certain parts of my body I do want to sort of strengthen. But again, they're sort of like ongoing, habitual sort of, you know, things. I really want to lock in with my Spanish. You know, I think it would be wonderful to like get to like a really high level of that and then start even thinking about another language. That's sort of like a way to go with my Spanish. So I think that might become the sort of primary locked in thing. I was thinking of even just as a way of like, you know, I don't want to do it here on like the YouTube or whatever, because I think it would sort of dilute what we have here. I think it would be a little weird. And people get kind of confused what we do on this channel. But I was thinking of having some, like, you know, for my Spanish studying or whatever, like just more from me, like accountability, and I can kind of like see, you know, over time and track how much I've been doing it, like do some little, like, you know, me studying streams. I was thinking of maybe doing that on like TikTok or something like that, or maybe on YouTube, on Twitter, sorry, just to kind of not dilute what's going along here. And you know, people jump into these streams because they want to see me like blah, 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 and then play a stupid game. And if they come in, it's just me, like, you know, like practicing Spanish conjugation. Yeah, it's not sort of, you know, you go to McDonald's to get a hamburger. You don't go there to get a bowl of soup. Have McDonald's ever done a soup before? The McSoup? Have they ever done a McSoup? The McSoup. Speaking of soups, I've gone all over the place here. I've been really into soup and sandwich at the moment. You know, I've been trying to think of those sort of like light meals, which are, because I cook a lot, right? And then sometimes I'm just like cooking big meal. And it's like, what are those kind of like, you know, secondary meals you can have during your day, which is like, it's filling, it's good, it's whatever. And I've been doing a lot of soup and sandwich. I think this is freaking win. The winning formula, the soup and the sandwich. Get some nice soup, make some nice sandwich, eating them side by side. You might even dip the sandwich in the soup if you're going crazy, right? But I've been kind of on that soup and sandwich hype at the moment. If we're talking stock markets here, soup and sandwich, buy. You know, like that stuff is a certified win in the Rex universe at the moment. But yeah, so I think going away, I'm getting like, you know, a little bit of clarity and a little bit of space for those 4 days and just being amongst nature and all that sort of thing. I think I'm going to come to some cool realizations and stuff like that. I'm not going to force it, you know what I mean? I do trust that they will come naturally to me. I generally have trust in these sorts of processes. And I think I'll get some sort of like clarity when I'm away, which will be really appreciated. At the moment, though, like two little sort of like, you know, amorphous things I have. Well, I guess 3 in my head is like sort of like new sort of fitness goals. I think being like TikTok creator would be kind of cool, and locking in on the Spanish and bringing that to like a really high level, and then we can start thinking about like you know, other languages and stuff like that as well. Because I kind of made this list. Maybe I'll make like a freaking video about it later. But I was making a list of like, you know, oh dude, what do I think's kind of important? Where did it go? Rex searches around pieces of paper. I'm switching over from some of these papers into like a notebook because the paper system's good, but like everything's been a little bit too much on paper at the moment. Is it here? I was gonna make this into like a fully fledged video, but maybe we can just talk about it now if I can locate it. Oh, I can. Oh yeah, I started making a list, right? And like the idea of this list was like what are sort of most important skills, I guess, from a sort of like self-sustainable and self-respect and sort of like, I guess, like valuable individual, like what do they have? And I kind of put them in categories here. This was all just like stream of consciousness and on the scribbles that, you know, surround this sort of Rex control center over here. So don't take them too seriously, but you know, I'm always up for developing ideas or hearing about people's opinions. But I know I made this list. I kind of put them in tiers, okay? So I can't even read my writing. Okay, I think I can read my writing. That's like hardcore Rex stream of consciousness where I'm not even sure I can read my own writing. Okay, so. Thing one I've got here, it's tier one. Most important things that, like, you know, I reflect on myself, I think I should be able to do. I put cooking there, I put cleaning there, and I put hygiene there. And I think I'm in control of these. And I think I'm managing these and whatever. It is true that all of those things can fall apart when I start to like, you know what I mean? Like not taking as many showers as I should, you know, just like eating junk, you know, not tidying the place. But I feel I've maintained that pretty well for the last whatever X period of time. So I feel I'm in control of that. I got number two here. I put some sort of like basic math skills, like maths and numeracy skills, which I've definitely got down. I got financing skills, some financing skills, so you can be in control of your money, or your input, your output, and stuff like that. I feel I've got that under control. Psychology, so you have a kind of idea about, you know, what is going on in your own head, what is going on in just terms, I guess, kind of just like the reason behind things, right? Which I expand upon a little bit later. Right, but I think like having some sort of like grasp or like some sort of like, you know, desire or whatever to like understand psychology in some regards is going to help you like understand yourself, help you understand your pets, help you understand your friends, your families, relationships, people you encounter on the street, help you understand the meaning behind a, you know, like a piece of art or an advertisement or what things are trying to do to you. So psychology there. Don't think I know a lot about this, right? At least from like a learned perspective. Obviously, I have an understanding of psychology from just sort of like trial and error and existing, you know what I mean, observing things around you. But I think this is from category two, from tier two. I think this is the biggest one I need to work on. Like so far, I think the most important sort of like gap in what I am, you know, perceiving from one session of scribbling down would be important to make a more complete Rex. Psychology, I think is priority number one. So also in tier two, so we had maths, we had finance, we had psychology, we had health. Understanding things about health so you can utilize that to help your body and also take care of people around you and stuff like that. I think I've got health down. And the last one I put in tier two was writing. And I would like to write more. A dude who is I love that Stephen King on Writing book, which is a Stephen King nonfiction book about writing. And he talks about how is it 100 pages a day or something crazy? Like he puts in like raps. He puts in serious raps. And he just like, he doesn't care if it's good or it's bad, you just do it. And I was thinking, that would be sick. Because if I start writing more, then it would be like, oh, I'm going to start speaking more, because writing's like basically like practicing your thinking. I'd speak more. Maybe I come up with cool ideas, and then I can make like a 3-panel comic strip, and I can like, you know, weekly have a 3-panel comic strip, which is derived from my writing and the art practice and all that sort of stuff. So I think so kind of the two gaps I got at the moment are learning more about psychology, and I want to practice writing more and learn more about writing. Yeah, and I sort of think James Gunn, I don't particularly love James Gunn, but I sort of think the other day, it's like, oh, I write 5 pages a day, like, non-negotiable. It's like, I can do that. I can write 5 pages a day. I can freaking do that. I can do that, man. I can do anything, man. And you can too. Okay, 3, I got, I started getting into science here. So I think it's important. Honestly, I think the most important overarching science like would be important to know is like some applied physics. I mean, I'm a freaking engineer, so that's handled. The next thing I put in category 3 is I put history. So, and specifically kind of like, I guess sort of to me, because of my situation, the most important history for me is going to be the history of like my surroundings. So sort of like Western civilization history. I think there's a huge big gap for me. And I do feel like ignorant about it, of like, obviously, you know, I'm not like a complete fool or whatever living under a rock, but I just think that like the fact that I know like more about like the Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, I don't freaking care. Like, name, like, we could send this list on and on and on. That I know more about their, like, history and in-world mythologies and political factions and all those sorts of things than, like, my own Western civilization is stupid. So, doing a deep dive into, like, historical stuff, I think is really important as well. I also put in in category 3, I put sociology. Again, I think that there is a lot of that sort of stuff that I am aware of, but really it's a bit of a gap that I've got there. I put in marketing. I think understanding marketing is really important from a perspective of sort of like, you know, as somebody who is like, you know, has a who runs like a small business, and I work part-time as, you know, like a business owner and stuff like that. I think like marketing and like selling your stuff itself is really important. And I also think it's really important to understand marketing from how they're trying to like market to you, right? And how they're trying to, I play with this all the time, man. I'm freaking LeBron James. I just sit here and stretch him. I think this is like dog boy failure sort of stuff. I think in some of the marketing is really important. So I'm kind of interested to learn more about that. Art as well, art history, I think is really important. A bit of a gap I've got. Philosophy, I have been a part of lit and phil societies, literature and philosophy societies. So I think like philosophy is not a huge gap, but I'd love to learn more. Theology as well, you know, whether you're religious or not, it underpins like so much of our society. I have actually read the Bible, and you know, and I've gone to other like religions and stuff and like read those texts. I think theology I'm pretty like in touch with. But how that like theology links to like art history and Western civilization history and stuff like that, I need to get into that more. So that's category 3. So category 3 was applied physics, it was history, it was sociology, it was marketing, it was art history, it was philosophy, it was theology. Then I put category 4 here. In category 4, I put deep competency in like one specific field. So like the idea of just like, oh, you've got like something that like is your freaking thing and you know it. Like it would be really cool if there was like something where like, you know, like somebody thought of, I don't know, I'm holding LeBron James, so like basketball, and they're like, oh, like basketball. Oh, Rex knows about basketball. He's the guy to go to. I would like to be that for something. I'm not sure what that would be. Recreational knowledge, so stuff that like, you know, links to like, you know, you've got knowledge of like the sports you do, of the arts you do, stuff like that. I think I'm pretty good with that, you know, like kickboxing, running, freaking bouldering, rock climbing, skateboarding, you know, playing certain instruments and stuff like that. I think I'm pretty good with that. I put coding there, because that just seems to be a bigger and bigger thing over time. I would like a kind of like at least a sort of, you know, passing understanding of how that works. I don't. So I put that in category 4. I feel that would kind of move up over time. And I also put like artistic creation and stuff like that, of just like, you know, like producing things that are being produced for artistic kind of wisdom. Dude, I did not expect to read this really not thought out list that I made like 2 days ago. But yeah, so I do think that some of the things I'm going to like focus on, and I think I'm going to like receive like big sort of like initial gains in, because I'm not like so adept in them or know a lot about them. I think it's going to be really important for me to continue my onward growth as a person, and like, you know, I don't like Batman. Batman's weird, and Batman has like a child soldier in Robin, who he puts in, you know, green and yellow to be a target for criminals, so he can distract them, and then Batman can go around the back and throw batarangs at them. I don't like Batman, but I like the idea of like Batman being this, you know, Renaissance man who like learned a bunch of languages, and like he can do all the stuff on this list. I'd like to do all the stuff on this list, but be like a good guy. You know what I mean? Be like Superman. Be like nice. You know, be like a nice guy. So in the kind of like quest to kind of like self-actualize and that sort of thing. I think things that are like that possibly are going to be like future goals for me in these sorts of areas are going to be more stuff about psychology, writing more, history, and I think history, the move to start off is with Western civilization and then branch out from there. So we got psychology, writing, history, marketing, philosophy, coding. And the other stuff I'm kind of working on a lot at the moment already. Did not expect this to... This is the... Yeah. I might come back to this in like just like a video and not like a laundry vlog thing. I'll catch you all soon. I love you guys. I'd love to hear your opinions. I would love to hear your opinions on what you think are like really important sort of like skills for like existing self-actualization, connecting with culture, the environment, other people. I'd love to hear what you kind of think. That was kind of my list off the top of my head. It is really just something I jotted down on a scrap of paper, so I'm not attached to this. I'm not dogmatic to my list, you know? I'm always interested in learning and perspectives and refining. So if you have kind of any ideas about like what you think are really important things that people should be connected with, or and I know it's not one size fits all because it's very much a list for me, you know, but kind of things that you think are really important that I might think are important too, I'd love to hear. I'm gonna go now. I love you guys. Bye bye bye. Oh, links in below in the description. You can find like the Discord server. Ways to support me if you want, all that kind of thing if you want to connect and that sort of thing, and that exists there. It's probably just best to go in the link tree and pick from there, or just look in the description. I don't know. Peace out. Bye 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 bye.